You know, when we think of art, we usually picture something beautiful, something we'd admire in a quiet museum. But what if it was also a weapon? Today, we're going to dive into a time when paintings and sculptures were literally on the front lines of an ideological war that would change Western art forever.
So let's just start with this question, because it really frames everything we're about to talk about. When you look at a piece of religious art that's super dramatic, emotional, and just awe-inspiring, are you just seeing a Bible story? Or are you actually looking at a very sophisticated tool designed for influence, persuasion, and power?
All right, let's get into it. To really understand how art became a weapon, we have to rewind back to the Italian Renaissance. This was a time when art was, without a doubt, the ultimate symbol of power and prestige. Yeah, back then, paying for a huge painting or building a grand new chapel, that wasn't just about making things look nice. This quote here says it all. Commissioning art was a public flex. It was a power move that screamed, "I'm rich, I've got incredible taste, and I am a big deal." So who were these power players? Well, you had these incredibly wealthy banking families, like the Medici in Florence, and ruling families, like the Sforza in Milan. But probably the biggest patron of them all, the one funding the most over-the-top projects, was the Catholic Church itself. And what's super interesting about this period is how it totally changed the game for artists. They went from being seen as, skilled workers or craftsmen to being celebrated as these unique, gifted celebrities. Suddenly, their personal genius, their vision, that's what became priceless. But all this spending, this golden age of amazing, opulent art and architecture, it didn't go unnoticed. There were definitely some consequences. A storm was brewing, and the church's spending habits were about to become target number one.
And that storm finally broke in 1517 with a guy named Martin Luther and the Protestant Reformation. He, along with other reformers, started calling out the church's art as totally excessive, even idolatrous. They were especially mad that the church was funding these gigantic projects. We're talking about things like Michelangelo's Sistine Chapel ceiling by selling indulgences, which was basically like paying to get yourself or your family out of purgatory faster. To the reformers, this was just the absolute height of hypocrisy.
So faced with this huge rebellion that was threatening its very existence, the Catholic Church knew it had to fight back. And it did. It launched what you could basically call a holy PR campaign, the Counter-Reformation. Let's just look at the timeline here. The challenge kicks off in 1517. It takes a little while, but by 1545, the church gets its act together and starts the Council of Trent. This was a huge series of meetings to figure out a game plan. And when it all wrapped up in 1563, the council released a whole new set of rules specifically designed to weaponize art for the Catholic cause. So, what were these new rules? Well, this is the brilliant part. They were a direct response to all the Protestant criticisms. Rule 1. Art had to be clear and simple. It needed to be a visual textbook for people who couldn't read. Rule 2. It had to be realistic. Make these holy stories feel real, present, and relatable. And Rule 3, probably the most important, it had to be emotionally persuasive. The art had to grab you, move you, and inspire this deep spiritual feeling right in your soul. The goal here was crystal clear. Create propaganda. Beautiful, moving, undeniable propaganda that would just overwhelm your senses, hammer home Catholic beliefs, and pull people right back into the arms of the Church. And this new mission for art, this strategic plan, didn't just cause a few small changes. Oh no, it gave birth to something completely new, something dramatic, emotional, and incredibly powerful. It gave birth to the Baroque style. So what exactly is Baroque? Well, at its heart, it's everything the Council of Trent ordered up. It is all about drama, intense feelings, and this sense of movement and energy that just yanks you right into the painting. It was a total break from that calm, balanced, harmonious vibe of the High Renaissance. And one of the key tricks artists used to get all that drama was a technique called chiaroscuro. All that means is using really strong, intense contrasts between light and dark. Seriously, think of a single spotlight hitting an actor on a pitch-black stage. That's chiaroscuro. It creates instant focus, tension, and a ton of psychological drama. And if you're looking for the star player of this new movement, the guy who just perfectly embodied this new direction, it's got to be Caravaggio. He was a revolutionary, a total rule breaker, and an absolute genius who took the church's new rules and ran with them. Caravaggio was the undisputed master of chiaroscuro. But he did more than that. He brought this gritty, almost shocking realism to his paintings. His saints didn't look like angels from heaven. They looked like real, rough, weathered people you'd pass on the street. You can see it in his masterpiece, The Calling of St. Matthew. You've got this beam of divine light just slicing through a dark, grimy room full of tax collectors. It makes this sacred moment feel incredibly immediate and intensely human.
So what Caravaggio did with paint, this next guy, Gian Lorenzo Bernini, did with stone. He was a prodigy who could somehow make cold, hard marble look like it was alive, capturing these incredible peaks of emotion and action.
See, Bernini never sculpted people just standing there. He caught them right in the middle of a crucial moment, a gasp, a cry, a divine vision. His work, like the famous Ecstasy of St. Teresa, was designed to be this whole theatrical experience. It completely blurred the lines between sculpture, architecture, and theater to create this overwhelming spiritual moment for whoever was looking at it. It was pure emotional persuasion, carved in marble. Okay, this is the perfect way to see the difference. Just look at these two sculptures of David. On the one hand, you have Michelangelo's David from the High Renaissance. He's calm, he's thoughtful, he's the perfect classical hero before the battle. Now look at Bernini's David. He is in the middle of the action. He's twisted, he's tense, he's biting his lip with pure effort. It's all about motion, drama, and raw, intense human emotion. Right there, that's the whole shift from Renaissance to Baroque in a nutshell. And this super effective new style didn't just stay in Rome. Not at all. The Baroque became the official look of a newly confident Catholic Church, and its influence spread all over the world.
And what's really cool is how it changed depending on where it went. It wasn't one size fits all. In Spain, it got a lot more serious and intensely religious with artists like Velázquez. In France, they mixed it with a bit of classical elegance to glorify their king. And in Flanders, artists like Peter Paul Rubens just cranked up the energy with vibrant colors and these massive dynamic scenes.
And through missionary groups like the Jesuits, this art style was exported everywhere, becoming a powerful tool of cultural expansion. This wasn't just about decorating churches. It was about creating a powerful, unified brand identity for the global Catholic Church, a visual language designed to awe and convert people from Latin America all the way to Asia. So, why does any of this matter to us today? Well, first, it's a huge reminder that art is never just art. It's always a product of its time, shaped by politics, religion, and money. Second, it shows that art can be an incredibly powerful weapon in any kind of struggle, whether it's religious or political. And finally, the innovations of the Baroque, all that drama, emotion, and use of light, they echoed through art history for hundreds of years. And that kind of leaves us with one last thing to think about. The Counter-Reformation might be history, but using images to persuade, to influence, and to project power, that's not going anywhere. So the real question is, where do you see that exact same intersection of art, power, and influence in our world today?